Welcome to Geek on Film with your hosts, Robbie Holmes and John Hosch. Hello, and welcome to episode 19 of Geek on Film. I'm Robbie.
And that's Robbie. And I'm John.
And we're going to talk today about all kinds of fun stuff, but our main reviews are going to be Strange Worlds and Glass Onion, a Knives Out story.
A Knives Out story. I'm so excited to talk to you. I haven't been talking to a lot of people this week.
Well, it's exciting to talk to you too, my friend. I miss you.
Let's talk turkey.
Talk away. Here we go. So let's kick it off with I watched the first episode of Wednesday, and I believe you've watched the entire season. So we'll have to hold back on your review of the whole thing because now we're gonna slow roll it. I am entranced by Jenny Ortega. I think the show is fantastic. The reveals of all the characters in the first episode are perfect. I think Christina Ricci and Gwendolyn Christie and Ricky Lindholm, and they just every reveal is better than the last, and it's just beautiful. Like the show is shot beautifully. I don't know that it's just that I'm excited that there is a Wednesday Addams show, or if it's really good. So like I need you, since you've watched the whole thing, to tell me whether or not I'm just overexcited about this show or it's actually good.
I think that there is like 5 of these shows on Netflix. You know what I mean? Or there was. You know, you had like Sabrina, you had like this, you had there's a show that's kind of, I think, like Charlize Theron is in, where it's all like these young girls, spooky mystery shows.
Okay.
And I would say this is probably the strongest outing.
Okay.
I'm also not alone in liking this show, because this show apparently is the highest streamed show on Netflix ever. It apparently finally it topped Stranger Things as the most viewed show this week. Yeah, like I totally concur. Like Jenna Ortega does it's like if she wasn't in the show, I don't think the show would be a success. I think it is a really good show. But I won't talk too much about it.
Okay.
And maybe we can talk about the whole thing when you finish it. But I mean, everyone at the time of recording like has probably seen on YouTube or something, like the dance she does, which is like you have to wait till like episode 7 for that dance, by the way.
Wow.
But it's like really great, and it's like she is like intoxicating, like her big old eyes, and she's just staring you down, and like
apparently like our friend Mr. Tim Burton was enamored with the idea that she could not blink because she worked on for a very long time being able to like not blink on camera. So apparently she's only blinked like 9 times in the first couple of episodes, like across hours of television.
Right.
But we all know that like Tim Burton is infatuated with like strikingly weird women, is the way I would put it. And like she has fashioned herself to play a character that I think popped right out of Tim Burton's head. Like he could have drawn her, is what it feels like.
Yeah, and I think that I think the show also pays homage a lot to like the source material, like the comic strips that it was based off of. And like there's a strong supporting cast. So like for people who are listening who don't know kind of what we're talking about, Wednesday is a new show on Netflix where Wednesday Addams, she gets in trouble in the public school that she was going to.
Like her 7th school in 9 months. Like she's been in trouble a lot, you know?
Yeah. So her parents, Gomez and Morticia, played by and what's the gentleman's name? I love that guy in everything I see him in, like Luis Guzman.
Yes.
So they take her to the private school where they met, And it like, it's like kind of a Hogwarty kind of place where there's like outcasts, like werewolves and um, sirens, aka mermaids, and things like that. Um, and she's kind of the normie now in the
Yep.
school. Um, yeah, and it's really cool.
I mean,
Um,
her roommate is played by Emma Myers, is so much fun as
yeah,
a. I don't know where it goes, but she's a werewolf who
yeah,
can't transform.
yeah,
All she can do is pop her claws,
yeah,
and she's also like rainbowy. Like
yeah. She's
her
super
room
lovely.
is
It's like the
super fun, and
I love
like they're a blast together.
Yeah, and Gwendolyn Christie, who you probably remember from, um, what
Game of
I was
Thrones.
gonna say what Mr. Game of Thrones. What was her name in Game of Thrones?
She was Brienne of Tarth.
Right. So, and she is the head principal at the school, and she's gone on to say that like this is the most beautiful she's ever felt on screen, and I think that's really cool.
She was
Um,
also Lucifer Morningstar in The Sandman.
yeah,
She's had a hell of a couple of months in
yeah,
my really
yeah,
coming out of Game of Thrones. I think she's really but she's also glammed up in this, like she's a beautiful like 50s model.
mhm.
Like her clothing, her hair, she looks like she stepped right out of a magazine from like 1956.
Yeah, and
Like
apparently
these
she's married to a fashion designer, and apparently he designs a lot of her costumes. Apparently,
Oh, that's awesome. She looks fantastic, and also like she's just such a presence all the time. Like
yeah,
but like she's so striking, and seeing the photos of the two of them, like her and Jenna Ortega on
mhm,
Instagram, where like Jenna Ortega is like a foot and a half shorter than her and they're hugging,
right,
are very adorable, right?
yeah,
Like everybody on this show seems like they're having a good time, which is the other part of it that I think is evidently coming through to me, is like
yeah,
I have a huge amount of affection for the people in this show, and seeing their Instagram and social media presence is just making it better. Like everybody just seems like they're enjoying themselves.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there was definitely like as I was going through the episodes, it's one of those things where like yeah, I hit that button that said like skip to next episode as fast as I could, while I was watching it. And then when I had to like leave, I was like looking forward to running back to the television to get to the next episode. Yeah, it worked on me, and I enjoyed the story that they tell over the season. Yeah, so I look forward to kind of reconvening when you finish the season.
It's also a great nod to having Christina Ricci be like the headmistress of the house.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
their photos on Instagram are also unbelievable. Like the two of them together as like Christina Ricci and little Christina Ricci is really
right.
what it looks like.
Mhm.
Is perfect.
Yeah,
Okay, let's jump over to Fleischman is in Trouble. Based on a novel, it is a television show that is on FX now, streaming through Hulu. And it is a show about a divorced couple. And the main characters are played by Jesse Eisenberg and Claire Danes.
mhm,
They are the divorced couple, and they have two children. He's a doctor. She is a high powered something. I don't even really know after two episodes, but we also don't spend any time with Rachel. That's the premise of the show. Is the show opens up with Jesse Eisenberg's character Toby be getting a text message or a voicemail from Rachel saying that she dropped the kids early, and it was like 4 a.m. And the kids, like, he opens the door from his bedroom, and the kids are in their rooms in his apartment.
oh,
And that is how we're introduced to him as a character and the children, and also to Claire Danes. So we
mhm,
haven't, in two episodes, I've not seen a active scene where Claire Danes exists. She's
interesting.
only in flashbacks, and she's only in his mind. Um, and I have a feeling this is going to expand. You wouldn't get Claire Danes to just be in flashbacks, in my opinion, but also his friends. So he is a mid 30s doctor in New York City, and he's reached out to his friends because his therapist said he needs his friends. So he
Mhm.
went back to like a high school friend and a college friend. So Lizzie Kaplan plays Libby, who is actually the narrator of the show. So
Oh,
you get
interesting.
Lizzie Kaplan as a main character and also the narrator. And Lizzie Kaplan's amazing. Like
Yeah, I'm a
I
big fan of hers.
but also like she gets to play somebody her age and not like a lead who's trying to play a character that she doesn't feel like she belongs. She feels very like it feels like you met Lizzie Kaplan in her life in this world. It's nothing feels heightened. It feels like she gets a chance to play like a sort of a mom in suburbia who doesn't really love her life is what it feels like. And she's seeing her life through the lens now of Toby, who's now newly single, dating in New York City. And then Adam Brody plays Seth Morris, one of his close friends. And Seth is kind of he's always been single guy in his 30s who's like, come on, little fishy. Like, there's a big pond out here. So you have like the friend who's telling him, like, welcome to being single again. His friend who's just like, I can't believe what you're going through in your life. I kind of wish I had that without saying it out loud. So it's an interesting show for me because as a person who's been divorced a couple times and also had a moment where he was single in his 30s in New York City, this show just has it's based on a novel that or a book that I feel like feels familiar to me.
Cool.
Like dating in New York in your 30s on apps and like, you know, he walks through the world and he's remembering stuff that happened on a date of like that he went on with a person one time on this block. Like that kind of stuff happens. Your neighborhood changes, right? Like, and Jesse Eisenberg's great. He is great as Toby Fleischman.
Cool.
He is believable as a doctor who gives all the shits, right? Mm-hmm. So like he wanted to become a doctor because he wanted to provide like goodness to the world. He's a liver doctor, so he also talks about the liver like it's like a magical being. At one point, they're like, you know, he had done some surgery and he's like showing his students like, look, it's back to where it was. It's magical. Like it freaking heals. Like this is it's a magic organ. Like, and he just is believable as that guy. Like, and Claire Danes is playing a character who seems a little bit like a villain in the first couple episodes.
From the trailer, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Well, and also you're seeing her only through Jesse's Toby's flashbacks.
Right.
So the fights are from his perspective, right? She dumped the kids off. He went to her house in the Hamptons that she kept in the divorce and then got kicked out because the person who keeps that house for them doesn't know him. So like called the cops. Like, so there's really great moments in the first 2 episodes. I am so excited to continue watching this. Like it feels like a show that was kind of made with me in mind. It's a little heightened. It's very New York and prescient and feels real, even though it's heightened. And that's my favorite part of this is like trying to tell a story about New York City where New York City is a character, but also it just feels like you're in New York. And like they get in a fight about like how expensive it is to live in the 30 square feet, 30 square blocks that she thinks they need to live in the middle of a fight is pretty. He's like, I make a lot of money just not to live right here. Right. Like, and it's so New York, right? Like if you live on the Upper East Side in this like 30 block square, like you can't afford to live there unless you make like $3 million a year. And like, he probably makes $350,000-$400,000 a year as a doctor, and she makes probably $500,000, and they can barely afford to live to buy a condo there, you know. Yeah. And it's just so New York,
expensive city in the world to live in.
Yeah, and I feel like it captures a little bit of the existential crisis of being an adult in New York when you grew up in New York. Also, like, is this what I want? Is this still like because Lizzie Kaplan lives in the burbs? You also get that like idea of like 40 minutes away, probably near Union, you know, like in New Jersey. It feels like she's got this sort of idyllic, what feels like suburban, and she's just like bored out of her mind living in the burbs. So it's like, it's all the things of growing up in the tri-state area and like trying to navigate that as a late 30 something. It's really well done.
That's great. It's like a 8-episode miniseries, they say.
Yeah, because it's based on the novel. I think it's limited in length for sure.
Oh, gotcha. Cool. I will. I saw the trailer when I was like skimming stuff on Hulu, but yeah, it's definitely on my radar. I think
Well, and
Episodic
it's also super
better.
fun to see him getting a chance to play these types of characters. Like he's sort of feeling like what's his name? Mash um from the 70s, the movie. He's starting to feel like he's aging into like the mid 40s white guy actor.
Mhm.
Like he's always felt like he should be a mid 40s white guy actor.
He's
Like
definitely was an old soul in
right.
a young
So like
body.
getting a chance to see him be a dad and like deal with life stuff feels right for him as
Yep.
an actor, you
Yeah.
know?
I'll go on the record and say I actually liked him as Lex Luthor too.
So the film I really want to revisit is actually The Social Network, and
Mm.
I keep eyeballing. There's a Paramount Classics box set of films they keep putting out. They have
Mhm.
like a volume one, a volume two, a volume three. The
Yeah.
first volume is like probably like $700 now because it's this like box set it was limited edition. But that box set has The Social Network in it as a 4K disc, and
Mhm.
it's one of the only ways to like really get the experience, I think.
Right.
And so there's a lot of back and forth about people buying like the digital code for it and stuff. But it's a movie I haven't revisited since I saw it the first time, and I was kind of down on it, but I want to revisit it now. Like it's become this movie that's sort of almost a little white whaley to me, that like I didn't have a lot of respect for it when it came out, and
Mhm.
lots of amazing critics have gone on record and said like it might be one of the best films of that decade, and like I feel like I need to revisit it, and I feel like I may have given it a short shrift back then.
I have never seen it.
It also just felt like it was too of the moment. I feel
Right.
like we weren't far enough away from it yet, you know,
Sure.
like
Sure.
so I think going back and revisiting it now could be really fun.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should do a special episode, or we'll just review it next week.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's a big
Who
point.
knows?
It's a milestone next week. We get to episode 20,
It
but we're
is.
still
It's a
on
really
episode
exciting
19.
time.
We shall move on. We shall.
What the what? Okay, so White Lotus. We're gonna jump in. The fifth episode, just as good as the fourth episode. I'm a week behind because it came out last night, and my birthday weekend just happened, and I didn't get a chance
Hey!
to watch it.
You
So
better, some better. If you're listening and you're not subscribed, it belated birthday present for Robbie.
I am this episode is literally going to be a birthday present for me. I am enjoying this show so much. I think the storylines and the way the show is working are landing more and more. I think I'm so impressed with what they've been able to pull off in this show.
Mhm.
Um, it's fantastic. Like
Awesome.
one of the things I joked about on one of the last episodes was the fact that the condom wrapper was there and that it was Chekhov's condom wrapper, and you scoffed at me. I feel vindicated. It was actually another critic that also said the same thing from Vanity Fair, and I tweeted about it, and he also liked the comment. So the show is
Who said
perfect.
it first?
I think it might have been this guy.
Kudos to you, then, sir.
So
You should
in the
fight that
latest.
guy.
No, he's an amazing reviewer. Why would I do that? So this
Take
show is
precautions like
really
Highlander.
because there could be only one.
Well, that has to be two because I don't think you're going to kill me. So, well, maybe you will. Who knows? Happy
Uh,
20th. You have to tune in.
so
20th
we should
episode.
jump into that last episode of White Lotus was
Yeah.
That's Amore, and we get a chance to see the 2 or 3 main stories unfolding. You've got sort of you've got the 3 boys, the Italian men, Bert and Albie, and his father, played by Michael Imperioli, trying to figure out what's going on. But you've got Albie now sort of dating the sex worker that
Mhm.
Michael Imperioli started off the season with, having sex the first night. And then you've got the Portia and Daphne storyline where they are now off, Tanya and Portia storyline where they are off with the characters that are in Palermo. So they go to see Madame Butterfly as a group.
Mhm.
And that's pretty astounding. You can feel that they've moved outside of their quote unquote COVID bubble, in my
Uh-huh.
opinion. The first season of the show very much took place in one location,
Right.
and this feels like we've finally breached that and we're
Stepping up.
outside. But yeah, there's so much going on here, and you get a chance to see sort of, I think, a little bit of the characters and who they really are. So you end up in a situation where Cameron, I believe it's Cameron, uh, who is the husband who had sex with the sex workers the night before, doesn't have enough money to pay them. So he gave them what he had, and that becomes a problem. So it's obvious that
I
this
would
guy who's
imagine.
supposed to be rich
Right.
doesn't seem to have any cash, which is kind of chaotic. And then
Mm.
Portia, who's been running around with the nephew of the group of men, the group of gay men that took Tanya back to Palermo, dined and dashed in Palermo. So
What?
like they ate and ran off on a bill, and then when they got back to their to the this beautiful piazza, he tells her he'll come back in a little bit. He has to go take care of something for his uncle, and then you see Tanya, who's played by Jennifer Coolidge, open the door and enter Tom Hollander's room, which is where Quentin, who is the uncle,
Mm.
and you see his nephew having sex with him. Pretty
Oh.
graphically, for an HBO show, in my opinion, but like it's unbelievable to see that there's a lot going on here, and obviously people are not on the level. I
Mm.
think we're seeing that Jennifer Coolidge's character might be being played for her money because she's actually rich, and they are living in this beautiful place but don't seem to have a ton of money,
Mm.
and would like to get like subsidies from the state, from the country, but don't want to open it up to the public. And then you see this nephew running out on a dining and dashing with this younger girl. Like, so there's a lot of question about like who actually has money, and how much
Right.
is it a con of a con of a con, like,
Yeah.
so it feels like everybody's trying to con everybody else in this show.
Interesting. What episode is this? What episode number is this?
This is episode 5.
All right, on. So,
And it's
so
really amazing. Like you could watch this without watching the previous season.
right. Yeah.
There's kind of no reason,
Right.
in my opinion, unless you really want to watch both. It's almost like two separate shows.
But you could also not watch them in order. I'm assuming too, right? Like I could watch season 2 and then like be like, "Wow, I really like the Jennifer Coolidge character, and I hear she's in season 1." So then
Yes.
we'll go back to season 1.
Yep. And
Yep.
honestly, that's the only connective tissue. So
Right.
even the way that everything else is playing out, like there's no connective tissue happening, in my opinion.
Cool.
All right, so let's hear it. Tell me
Um,
about the first 2 episodes of Willow, my friend.
well, are you a fan of Willow growing up? Did you watch Willow?
I have affection for Willow, but I don't remember it at all.
Okay. Well, Willow was like George Lucas came up with Willow like 20 years ago, I think, to the day. It's like his sword and sorcerer movie. It's really fun. It stars Warwick Davis as I forgot what they're called like Elwins or something like that. They're like, they're shorter creatures that are magical, or he's magical. Um, and this kind of picks up 20 years later, where the movie kind of left off. Um, like magic has been banned from the world to protect the chosen baby that named Elora Danan, who the movie focuses on. Um, and there's a lot of people from the movie that are in this, which is exciting. But you have this like all new cast of like young, up and coming, cool actors. And I think the cool thing about this is like it's definitely like in the vein of what Willow was, where not everyone had British accents. Some people had American accents, and I really actually wish more sword and sorcery movies would do things like that. I don't think everyone needs to have a British accent. Um, but so far so good. Like it's not. I'm not like addictedly hooked, and I was not. There wasn't like a explosion of like, oh my god, Willow's back. But it was like a slow burn into these first 2 episodes. I think it's really cool to kind of see Warwick Davis kind of go from like a super young, like fledgling magic user, and then all of a sudden now he's kind of he's kind of like Gandalf level ish,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Gandalf the Gray level, maybe Gandalf,
Wow.
but like he's like he's he's like a master wizard now, and I think it's pretty cool. It's interesting that do you know who Tony Revolori? I just butchered his last name. He was Flash Thompson in the new Spider-Man movies and stuff.
Okay.
Uh, he's in it, and I'm kind of curious where his character is going to go because if anybody, yes, like I like that people kind of like don't all have British accents, but he like seems a bit of a fish out of water. I was like, "Are you a time traveler? Are you supposed to be here?" But I'm curious to see where his character goes. He's kind of like the son of a king who wants to marry the princess in the story to kind of bring the worlds together, but he has like no interest in marrying her. Um, there's like you do miss Val Kilmer as Mad Mardigan. They do talk
Mm-hmm.
about him, but there is a character that's Mad Mardigan esque who Val Kilmer was kind of like the swashbuckling like alpha hero in Willow, and there's a character that's like that in this, and he seems pretty cool. Um, I'm totally on board because I love Willow. Uh, it definitely didn't like it didn't blow me away, but I'm hoping by like episode 3 4, like that's when like they're gonna because they got to start questing because these things are all about quests. You got to go on a quest,
I
and like
mean, it
they're
seems like it's a requirement.
yeah, they're just starting the quest, and I'm like, all right, you've got the team together, and it wasn't exciting. And usually, getting the team together is the most exciting thing, but it kind of happened super fast. So let's get if that's going to happen super fast, get to questing. So I'm excited for the quest. Yeah.
I am interested because I haven't actually jumped into Willow yet, so I was interested to hear what you had to say about it.
I'm not
What
selling
it
it very
sounds
well.
like is I should hang in there and see how the next episode goes.
I think you should not start it yet. I think you
Okay.
should get like I think you should give it like give it like 2 weeks. Let
Okay.
4 episodes come out, binge those, and then
Hmm.
I'm sure that'll be a good litmus test whether or not you want to continue on or you're like, yeah,
Okay.
pass.
I will jump over to the third episode of the first season of Interview with the Vampire. We
Have
are
you
now at
met
the point.
the little girl yet?
So she's introduced at the very end of this episode.
Oh,
And but that's not what's interesting is it's not done in a way that feels important yet, especially if you haven't read the novels. So this episode is really all about like Lestat getting frustrated with Louis
mm,
because Louis decides that he'd rather eat cats. So we're in the phase where Louis is still unhappy about being a vampire, but likes being a vampire. And
mhm,
the person he had affection for when he was younger, comes in before he goes off to the military, and they end up going out to the woods and they end up having sex. And Lestat has been having sex with other people, and Louis asks him like, "So it's okay for you to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah, who cares? I'll always be with you." And so he's like, "So I can be with whoever I want." And then Lestat gets jealous, which is not a surprise.
mm,
Um, but yeah, you end up in this really beautiful moment of like watching Lestat try to figure out, Louis try to figure out how to navigate this world because
mhm,
Lestat is a monster. No matter how much he loves him, he still sucks. And they end up in a situation where the black business owners are slowly being forced out of all of this road of all these stores,
mhm,
mostly sex workers and things like that. So we end up in a situation where even though Louis owns this, Lestat like signed off and was like his underwriter. They've basically reckoned the white business owners are wanting to come back and buy it for like 15 cents on the dollar or something like that.
mm,
So we're seeing like the racism really come home. Um, and they want to like push Louis further down the road, basically.
Mhm.
And it sucks because this is the end of it. You know, like
Yeah.
we see that this is basically where Louis' humanity is dying. We saw a little bit of it in the last episode, and this is where we end up in a situation where like Louis murders Fenwick, who is one of the men, one of the white business owners, and hangs his mutilated corpse in public.
Good
Like
lord.
basically leaves him like entrails out on a fountain.
Oh gosh.
So you know we've been watching Louis slowly lose his humanity and having to reckon with the fact that he's a vampire, and this is the one that sort of pushes the buttons. And then Louis hears the thoughts of a young girl who's burning in a boarding house and rushes in and saves her. So we've just met Claudia, not named yet, not any of that, but this is about to become a hot mess. If you watch any of the coming on for the season, I think the world that is created once Claudia becomes a part of it is even more chaotic. There's many scenes where the three of them are just covered in blood from like nose to like belt. Uh,
Whoa.
yeah. So I think they hunt as a family. Probably sometimes it's protection, sometimes it's for fun. And also there's a great sequence where you hear Louis and Lestat yelling at her about where the bodies are. So I think we're going to end up in a situation where she has a pile of corpses somewhere, right? She's been gluttonously eating and not taking care of it. So I'm
Yeah.
excited that Claudia has now arrived, and I'm still team this show. I am really impressed with every actor, every choice that's being made. It's beautifully shot, and the pacing of it is really good. It feels a little slow, given the fact that I know where we're going,
Mm.
but it's slow because they're adding in a little bit more detail and they're expanding some of the storylines that
The
aren't there in the
commentary
novel.
seems very cool too.
What's
That's
that?
happening. The commentary seems very cool that's happening too with like
It feels
uh,
like yeah,
racial
the
commentary.
writing is even hitting on like the societal like components and norms that
Yeah.
feel like they're questioning what's going on. So I'm really impressed. I really like it. I couldn't be more excited to see more of this show. But it definitely feels like these are shows. I have a bunch of shows right now that are like I'm gonna watch one and move on to something else.
Right.
So this is a show I'm watching without my wife. Like Amy's not watching it, so it's nice to have the shows that I can just sort of luxuriate in while she's taking a bath or whatever. Like
Mhm.
these are those shows for me. So I'm trying to like parcel them out like this, let the right one in, right? Like I feel like I have a couple of shows now that are just for me, which is really fun.
How is this show tracking? Like on is this a tent pole for AMC? Is it doing well? Like because they've just well, there's like a bajillion Walking Dead shows now, but they just lost like the initial Walking Dead show, right? Like
Yeah. So the Mayflower Witches is coming,
okay.
which is a really important story. It's
Mm.
probably the second largest story from Anne Rice.
Okay.
So you end up in a really interesting place, but they've already shown in the trailer. Hold on, let me pull it up. Alexandria Daddario, who is in the first season of White Lotus,
Mhm.
is the main character in that show.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm a big fan of hers.
Yeah, she's fantastic, but she's playing Rowan Mayfair.
Mm.
So she's the main character of that show. And I'm really excited to see where that goes. The trailer's beautiful, but also the Mayflower Witches are a series I only read one or two of because
Mm.
that is the series that Anne Rice really doubled down on the flowery language. Like the
Mhm.
first book, like the first 45 pages is describing the beauty of New Orleans. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, can we
Gotcha.
get to the story? And she really doubled down. Like, I feel like when she got to the Mayflower Witches, she really indulged. I think the way she described things and really went deep on detail,
Mm.
which is great if that's what you're looking for. But I, at the time, was looking for more sort of directly analogous stories to the vampire series, and this felt a lot more floral and a lot more like detail oriented in the things that weren't related to the actual story.
Mhm. Cool.
but
I
I'm
mean,
excited to see it. I'm really excited with that casting. I think she's a fantastic actress, and it will be really fun to see what they do around.
piercing eyes of hers.
Yeah, she's beautiful, and revolving a show around her is not a dumb move. Let's be
No,
realistic. She was
she
great in
was.
White Lotus, and
She was also
um,
great in San Andreas with The Rock.
oh yeah, she was also the girl in the Girlfriend Experience. She's been
Mhm.
pretty impressive in a lot of things.
She's
So
been very busy.
yeah,
So we're going to transition over to some films. We've got 3 to talk about before our 2 main reviews. Robbie, talk to me about In the Mood for Love, Criterion Channel.
yeah. So In the Mood for Love is directed by Wong Kar-wai. It is one of the it. So I was just talking to John about this beforehand. There's the Sight and Sound list, which happens every 10 years, and this jumped to like number 4 on the Sight and Sound list. It's been on the Criterion Channel for a long time. Wong Kar-wai is a fantastic director and visionary. So he's got like Chungking Express and a few other movies that I've watched of his. This was a blind spot. I had never seen this. And this has Tony Leung and Maggie Chung as the 2 main characters, and they steal the film. Like
He was
it is.
he is if you saw Shang-Chi, he was
Yep.
the villain in Shang-Chi, the Mandarin.
And when it comes down to it, what you end up with here is 2 couples rent rooms in apartments next door to one another.
Mhm.
And both of their significant others are busy and business people. So uh, Mei Wang is Tony Leung's character, and his wife is a businesswoman who's traveling all the time. And then the other character is Mrs. Chang, which is played by Maggie Chung. And what you end up with is you realize the longer the movie is going on, that they're actually having a relationship.
Mhm.
They've been cheating on their significant others, and they travel together. So these 2 characters slowly get to know one another and recognize that, like, I recognize your purse is the same purse that my wife has, and that tie that you have is the same tie that my husband has. But it's really about this like slow recognition of affection between these 2 characters. I think
Cool.
Wong Kar-wai is a hopeless romantic in the way that he writes and directs films. He has one of the most amazing eyes in cinema. Like, there are so many shots in this film that you see recreated by other directors. And this film was only made in 2000. But this is one of those films that's sort of like required viewing for directors today, in my opinion, or cinematographers, or anybody who really wants to get to know cinema.
Mhm.
So you get amazing acting across the board out of these actors, but also you get fantastic visuals and unbelievable direction and writing that is heartbreaking across the board, right? Like uh, I don't know that I've seen a film. So Chungking Express is the closest. So in that film, you have a policeman and a person who works at like a shop, like a noodle shop, and there's an affection that happens there. So it's 2 different classes of people, 2 different worlds coming together. This is very much about like 2 significant others who are kind of sad and alone and left on their own, and they find one another. But
Mhm.
there's like nosy neighbors that they're renting their rooms in the apartments from that get involved, that cause some chaos, and
Right.
but none of it feels contrived. That's the thing about this is like so much of this feels like it could feel like a fake sitcom-y world.
Mhm.
And Wong Kar-wai has such a steady hand and honest vision of like humanity that nothing that happens in these movies ever feels like it's fake.
Mhm.
100% of this feels like it could be happening. And he also chooses amazing actors, right? Like that helps. Like
Yeah.
when you have a Tony Leung in your back pocket, you can be like, I need smoldering eyes and acting with nothing but your eyes for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like melting into a puddle because Tony Leung's amazing, right? Like,
Yeah. Most of good directing is good casting. So
yeah. This movie is one of those it's about 2 hours long. If you've never seen it, it is very much a vibe movie. It is the feeling of what it's like to be living in Hong Kong in the 60s, right? And what the vibe of the world feels like, and how like society feels like, the pressures because of the culture of the world, on top of the nosy neighbor, and the like. So you get this like really amazing snapshot, I think, of a world that I am not at all exposed to. And I feel like walking away from it, like I have a better understanding of humanity after I
Wow.
watch a Wong Kar-wai film. Like, and that's amazing. Like that is why I think when we talk about like film versus cinema, like he is one of those directors and writers. He's an auteur that I feel like every time I walk away from one of his films, I feel differently about other things I watch, and I feel differently about how I feel about things. And that's not something I feel on a regular basis. So the fact that this just ended up at like number 4 on the Sight and Sound list of the top 100 films of all time doesn't surprise me.
Cool. And you can, so you watched this, did you watch this on a 4K or did you watch this on the Criterion
I
channel?
watched this on the Criterion channel. So when the list came out, the Criterion channel was really excited to post that you have like 56 of the top 100 films available
Wow.
through the Criterion channel. And
Wow.
like, that's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
this is like, the Alexandria Library world that we live in today, right? Like, we have at our fingertips for $9 a month, you have 56 of the top 100 films of all time in this list
Hmm.
at your disposal. But like the other 44 are digitally available. Like the number
Yeah.
1, the number 3, the number 4, the number 5, the number 6, and the number 7, I think, are on Criterion. Like it's
Wow.
pretty amazing to just take a step back and be like, I am a person who should have probably gone to film school, and I feel like I can get film school today just by
Mhm.
reading a couple of books and having access to this amazing archive of
Mhm.
like 6 or 8 movie channels. That's why I try really hard. Like once or twice a month, I try to watch something on the Criterion channel that I don't have access to somewhere else.
Mhm.
And it's usually something that is pre 1970, because I feel like I can get access to other things in most places. But there are all these films that are blind spots for me, and this is one of them. So this
Mhm.
was a 2000 film that is one of the last Wong Kar Wai films from that era.
Mhm.
He did one film in English, but this is like one of those films that was a period piece. So he set it in the 60s in Hong
Yeah.
Kong, but he did it in 2000. And it's really amazing. If you've never seen any of his films, I would highly recommend.
Cool. That's awesome. So we're gonna go from there, and we're gonna briefly talk about this one, but
Mhm.
something that it's a movie that was making a lot of buzz early on this year, especially when it was released to Netflix. But I do think it had a theatrical release here in
Oh
America.
yeah, it did,
Uh,
but not for long enough, in my opinion.
right. But it also depends on like what city you're in. I know like the cool thing about New York is like if you go to like Empire 25, AMC Empire 25 in Times Square, like they're always showing Bollywood films and films from the Philippines and you know from from Japan and Korea and things like that. So but we're going to talk about RRR, which is available on Netflix now. Robbie has just seen it. So what were can you tell us a little bit about it and give us your initial impression?
Yeah, so the we're heading into award season, right? So there's a lot of different award ceremonies that are happening. The Gotham's just happened. The New York Film Critics just happened. So what triggered me is RRR has been on my radar for a long time, and I never got to see it in a theater because the last time it was in the theater was back in like June.
Mm,
So it was before I was really comfortable going to movies on a regular basis, and it was also a long film. It's like a 3 hour and 7 minute film.
yeah, it's
So
long.
trying to work out seeing a film in a non-native speaking language that I wasn't sure about was com- was complex, would be the way I would put it. But I kept hearing about how amazing RRR is.
Yeah.
So what's unbelievable about this film is so it is being talked about in lots of ways as its possible awards potential. So lots
Hmm.
of critics have talked about what could this film possibly land. And this week we had the New York Film Critics give Best Director to S.S. Ramjalui, who
It's amazing.
directed this film. So this is a
I would not dispute
non-American
that.
released film against every other film that exists in the world this year.
Mhm.
And the fact that this film got recognized by a smaller critics group is amazing, but
Mhm.
also it is up against, think about it, it's up against Sam Mendes, it's up against Spielberg, it's up against
Mhm.
Todd Field, it's up against some of the
Everyone.
most
Yeah.
amazing auteurs that exist in America, right?
Mhm.
And around the world. And honestly, I see it, right? Like I think, I saw a listing from Atlanta. They just put out the top 10 films of the year, and they put RRR, I think, at 4 from Atlanta,
That
with
makes sense.
Top Gun Maverick right behind it. And I think, like,
Ooh.
it's right there for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
they're both really unique and different films, but I
Yeah.
think RRR is probably going to stick with me a little bit more than Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. So RRR, it's I mean, is it safe to say, I don't want to be disrespectful, this is a Bollywood film?
I think it's a Tollywood film,
Okay.
so
It's
a
a
different region
Tollywood
in
film.
India.
Yeah, I just didn't,
Um,
I don't mean any disrespect, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
just acknowledge that, like, John and I are both American, and we're coming at this with as much love and affection as we could possibly have for this film.
yeah,
We don't always have the right, like, language
words,
to describe
right?
it,
But
or
we're happy to be corrected in a nice way.
yeah, or knowledge that has been we've been exposed to. So
Right,
it's not up to you to figure out how to solve our problem. But
right.
I have been listening to as many podcasts as I can get my hands on about this film because I am enamored with it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been a little while since I saw it because I saw it right when it came to Netflix. I was blown away by it. Um, it is so it's a Tollywood film. It's the fictitious story about these two revolutionaries
yep.
in the 1920s. Um, it's kind of the meeting of them, and it's not a real story, but it is a very epic story that they've created. It's very cool. It's two men who are from very different backgrounds, and
They're both from little villages,
mhm.
with different backgrounds in those villages. But it's so interesting that, like, when you get to the third act, you're like, I get it. Like, you can see where the thread is that connected these two men and why they are so close.
Yeah, and I mean, first and foremost, the action sequences that they do and are doing, Bollywood and Tollywood, are off the chain. They're incredible. Like, they defy logic a lot of times, but the way they do them with such commitment, and I would say, like, high quality, high caliber, like, film quality,
Yeah.
it's really impressive. I think this movie stands out because I think it takes all of that to the highest level. It's called RRR because it stands for Rise, Roar, and Revolt. Um, People fight tigers in this. People fight other animals in this. People fight each other in this. The fight direction. There's one point where one of the gentlemen takes on pretty much, like, he sees, like, he is guarding, like a, like a colonizer, I would say.
Hmm.
Uh, and there's all these people revolting, and the colonizer's like, I want that guy all the way in the back. And this dude, like, I think he just takes a stick and, like, just jumps the fence and starts, like, killing everybody to get.
So it's the opening sequence. That's the thing. Like, you there are like 3 opening sequences before the credits,
Yeah.
and this is the second introduction. This is when you meet Ram, right?
Mhm.
The character's name is Lori Satarami Raju, but played by Chanran Teja. And then the other character that is the other main character is often known as NTR. He's NT Rama Rao Jr. and he plays Beam. Uh, and you get the introduction of Ram, who is basically a cop in the English Guard,
Like the colonial
uh,
guard, yeah.
the colonial guard, and he has. So I kept jokingly saying, like, that's like the George Clooney handsome dude. Like
Dude,
he's
these
got this
guys are physical.
crazy mustache. They're both
Yeah.
physically like beautiful and different. One is big and berry. The other
They're
guy
so
is like
badass.
super suave. Uh, but this is the introduction to Ram as a character where he like jumps the wall, like John is talking about, and basically dives into about 500 extras
Yeah.
and finds the guy that this colonial leader tells him he wants and drags his ass back to the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a bit of a love story in this. There are musical numbers in
Oh,
this. Um, yeah, I think this is a good. I would hope. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with like authentic Bollywood and Tollywood movies, but this was kind of the gateway to it, and I have had my eye on some other ones that have come out since. Um, but it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, like this director needs to be swept up into the Hollywood system, and uh, just from because I would like to see his version of action movies here, and also, maybe James Gunn should give him a call and maybe give him a DC title.
yeah.
If
You
you
think?
if you want to give Marvel a run for their money, maybe you should knock on this guy's door. But also, as I'm saying that, I'm also like, well, also just let him thrive where he is and just keep making amazing movies there and just porting them to Netflix or porting them to theaters here, so that we can have a broader, a broader view of like film in other countries too. So,
So it's exciting to see this film. And the way I watched it was on Netflix. Netflix has the Hindi version of the film and a bunch of other options. There's an English subtitle, there's an English dub. The English dub and the English subtitles don't match because I think one is based on the original
very often they don't.
Teluga.
If anyone who watches anime know that like English dub and English subtitles never match up.
So what's really amazing about this is I got excited to see it. It's been on my queue for a long time, and getting sort of some awards recognition and the idea that this could possibly take on all these other films. I've been excited to watch it, and I was trying to hold off until I could get it in the original language on a 4K disc. But there's no physical media for this as of right now that I can buy. So I finally was like, I just really want to see this film that everybody's talked about. And people describe seeing this in the theater as like their favorite film experience in the last like 10 years. Like the experience I had with Triangle of Sadness, where I was literally like laughing and guffawing and looking at people and being like, did that shit just really happen? Everybody, I said to my wife like 4 times or 5 times an hour in this film. This film fucking rules. Like there's so much fun to be had in this film. It's a blast. Like the masculine energy and the masculine friendship and the ability to utilize like dancing for storytelling and the genuine nature of how this story is written and how it is handled honestly and without any no pulling of punches for an emotional impact. Everything here just feels like heightened but real. And you don't see male interaction like the two main characters. They have like the most amazing bromance I've seen on film. And it's so funny because like they clasp hands in the sort of predator, like we're gonna grab wrists almost. And it just made me laugh because I'm thinking about like American films. That's what you get. You get like you son of a bitch, and like we clasp. This film, like you literally get Beam clasping the face of his friend, saying, "I'm sorry, I failed you," with tears in his eyes. Like this film is so much fun and so heartwarming and moving. I couldn't. I can't wait to watch this again. I can't wait to expose people to this film. If there's a Robbie like created film festival, RRR will be a part of it. Like there's no doubt in my mind this is a film that not enough people have seen, and I can't wait for us to spend time like doing a full review of this film.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's also the most expensive film that was ever made in India.
It shows.
It cost $72 million, and it was shot at like the high point of the pandemic.
Yeah, and they put their money where the mouth is, and and it absolutely shows. There have been a couple other, like I said, there have been a couple other films that have come out of that region since then, and because I have seen this, I am, like, more eager to be like, "Oh, I really should, like, check this out and that out." Um, yeah. Go check it out on Netflix, folks, or
One
to.
last note: we should really talk about Natu. There's a dance battle that happens in this film that is ridiculous and inspiring and funny and moves the story along and solidifies the bromance in a way I've never seen done in a film before.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all you should say until people see it, like, you don't wanna give too
The
much away.
physicality that is pulled off in that sequence is astounding. Like
Mhm,
the two men who are the leads, like I cannot imagine what they've pulled off in this film.
mhm.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. All right,
Fine,
I'm going to stop gushing. Go.
well, no, you've gotta gush about another movie now because, I have not seen this next movie that we're gonna talk about, but,
So I watched Lady Chatterley's Lover on Netflix. I will not be gushing about this film, no matter how much you get me to talk about it. This
you don't
film
have to talk about much
is what's that?
you don't have to talk about it much if you don't want to.
I will say I think this film it it was making its way around the film circuit and around all the film festivals for a little while. One of the reasons I think it got some notoriety was there's a lot of sex scenes in this, and it's relatively explicit. I think the story that's being told is the story of a woman and her coming into comfort with abandoning society's morals and her place in society because of love.
Mhm,
Um, the so Emma Corrin plays Lady Chatterley. She is married to Clifford Chatterley. He goes to the war and comes back and is paralyzed from the waist down. So literally, they get married. They have their marriage night. He goes off to war the next day. So he comes home after from battle and is paralyzed and cannot move anything from like his stomach downwards.
huh,
And there's some like acknowledgement of like the Chatterley household the could really use an heir, and there's some allusion to the fact that like she should choose someone, it should be discreet, it should and so I won't spoil the film because I feel like there is an exposure here to how it unfolds. But I
mhm,
think Emma Corrin, who plays Connie Reed, who's the main character, who is Lady Chatterley, is really believable. I think she has an innocence and then a comfort in her skin that is impressive. She she is given a heck of a task. A lot of the film resides on her shoulders,
mhm,
and she is the main character for a very long time period. But I also think Matt Duckert, who plays Clifford, is actually really good. He his going off to war and coming back, and then being sort of this spoiled brat who grew up as part of high society and like expects her to not live her life, but also expects an heir and doesn't really want to reconcile with that. And then sees like at one point an Irish poet like flirting with his wife and then being like, I don't think he should be here anymore. He's kind of lower class, right? Like, so you get the sort of class based component, like a little bit of jealousy. But I think as far as acting goes, I think that like Matthew does a good job. I just don't think I love the story that's being told.
mhm,
So it's a not for me, but not bad. I think it's a little bit long. I think there's a little bit of in there's an edit of this film that takes it down from probably its NC 17 to like an R that would
mhm,
shorten the film. That I think the problem isn't the sex. It's just that the film feels like it luxuriates in scenes that don't move the story along for me. And
mhm,
and as much as it's great to see beautiful people having sex, uh, I just felt like the story wasn't being moved forward in a lot of those scenes. Um, but honestly, pretty people having sex, if that's what you're interested in, this movie should give you two thumbs up.
Ha something else.
Something definitely popped up. So there you go.
Something else pops up.
All right,
Well, okay.
let's jump over to our main reviews.
Yeah, that concludes the bulk of the reviews, and now we'll transition into our main reviews. We're first going to start off talking about the new movie from Disney that came out during Thanksgiving weekend. Strange World is the new animated movie from co-directors Don Hall and Qui Gwyn, written by Qui Gwyn, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, um, Jabuki Young White, Gabriel Union, Dennis Quaid, and many others. Um, this is kind of this is a pulpy sci-fi movie that's kind of in the vein, I would say, of like Fantastic Voyage or Journey to the Center of the Earth. Very much taking its cues off of like the pulp comics of, in the early years by like Avon Comics or like Atlas Comics or stuff like that,
Yep.
which later became like Marvel Comics. Um, and you've got you've got a father and a son, and then you've got his son. So you've got three generations. But we start with
Well, you've got a father and a son, and then you've got a father and a son, right?
and
They're
then all of a
distinctly
sudden
separate.
right. Um, but this the short of the long of it is that in this kind of alternate reality where we kind of live in a utopia where uh, um, they have found like these plants that are the fuel source, the energy source that can have us having flying cars and all this other things. And it seems like it seems like they're very symbiotic with the world. And then all of a sudden, things start going wrong with the fuel source that they have, and they have to uh, journey to see what's wrong. Um, yeah. So just to get it out of the way, this movie is not doing very good financially, but I also think that this is one of the most. I think that this is one of the most sophisticated movies that Disney's ever done, and I think that more people should be seeing it. And I think that there's a lot of complexities that
Yep.
are there's a lot of subtle complexities in this movie, and like if you're just going to like kind of tune out and just like look at pretty pictures and stuff. Actually, now that I say that, you can do that too because it's visually it's stunning, and like
It really is.
some of the things that that they create, the world that they create, is I don't understand how they created it. But
Yeah.
then when you start to realize where they are, it makes more sense. But it's really it's I'm babbling right now, so I'm going to toss it to you so I
Sure.
can
Let's jump into the logistics. So the movie's set in Avalonia. It follows a family called the Clades. So that is the parents we were talking about. So you have Searcher Clade, who is played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and Dennis Quaid, who plays Clade. So Jaeger he's an explorer, and his whole idea is that they're going to get outside of their valley and he's going to get to the other side of the mountains.
and
So
he's
he
super
spent
masculine.
what's that?
I would say he's like super masculine,
He
like alpha
is.
alpha male masculine.
He's drawn or animated as though he's like 5 feet wide and 9 feet tall and just all chin and shoulders. Like
Yeah.
this picture, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, go watch the trailer. The animation style works so well for the story that they're telling.
Mhm.
And honestly, Dennis Quaid's voice as Jaeger Clade is fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm normally
absolutely.
team like let's let like voice actors do voice acting, but this is one of those films where I feel like all the actors understood the assignment. Right? Jake Gyllenhaal as Searcher is fantastic. Like
Mhm.
unbelievably detailed in the way that he's expressive with his voice. Every emotion comes through, and I'm really was impressed. Like that was the thing. I went into this film and I was like, I'm not sure what to think about the original cast that I saw, like that was being brought to the table. And then everybody who was cast was really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, huge nod to the directors for getting the work out of these actors that are generally stage actors playing voices. They got every bit of their charisma, of their acting ability into those voice tracks. It's unbelievable how good I felt like these actors portrayed these characters, and not as a caricature, right? Like Searcher does not look like Jake Gyllenhaal. Like Jaeger does not look like Dennis Quaid. Yet
Mhm.
they embody these characters in really interesting ways. And I think the same thing for Jabuki Young White. He's so good as the next generation, as Ethan Clade.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that's like kind of the magic about animation is like, like they're putting down dialogue, and then that gets married to the animation afterwards, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think it's like, as far as like creative team, it's a pretty they've done a pretty incredible job. I think it's yeah. But there's I mean, so the thing that I think is unfortunate about the world we live in, I think geopolitically, this movie is not going to be shown in Russia. It's not going to be shown in China. Those are huge. Those are huge cash cows for Hollywood nowadays, and and it won't be shown in some other countries, and that's mostly because, like, you know, finally, we have a queer character in a Disney animated movie, and I'm not talking about like, oh, there's two people in the background kissing, or something like that.
Yep.
Like, Jabuki Young White's character Ethan Clade is queer, and it doesn't
and
dictate.
has an obvious crush on another boy,
Yeah, and
and
it's
his family's fully on board, right? Like,
yeah,
there's no negativity thrown on this character for who he is. And I
yeah,
think that's the thing that's astounding, is like how well the script lays this out, that like this is just life. This is who he is. Like,
yeah, and
and
like,
I was so impressed with when they met Jaeger finally, right? Like, and he was just, there was never even a hiccup in the character. And I think
right.
that's amazing, you know?
Yeah, and because I was thinking about that moment in particular that you're talking about, where like the grandfather who didn't know he had a grandson is trying to bond with him and talks with him, and they very easily could have done like the whole, like, you're from the old world, you're like toxic masculinity, like all of a sudden we're gonna do a thing where like you're gonna learn to accept your grandson for who he is, but they didn't, and
No.
that also goes to show you that, like, storytelling wise, before, because Jaeger Clade, like, disappears into the world that they're in now, so he's been gone for a while, but when he was around, it was all good.
Yeah.
And, like, talk about truly living in a utopia is, like, people can love who they wanna love, and I think it's really beautiful, and I think that, you know, young queer kids who see this movie, I hope it really hits them, and I think parents of queer kids should go see this movie, and, like, see, and I don't know,
I
it's
think
just
the thing that's amazing is, right, like it's just sort of a secondary aspect of the character,
yeah.
right? It's not his defining characteristic, but I also
Mhm.
think what's great is it becomes obvious in the first 30 seconds you're around the character that he has a crush on this boy, and then all of his friends are messing with him about it. His parents, his dad is just like, let me meet him, like, I can't
Yeah,
have you, he talks about you all the time. Like,
yeah,
it's 100%, like, none of it is played for a joke, none of it is played as though it's out of the ordinary, and
yeah,
it's beautiful. Like that, I was completely struck by how beautiful this film is. Like,
yeah,
not just the way it's animated, but the story it's telling, the world it's depicting. And then you get to this sort of the interior world, right? Like, we start off in this planet surface, and then we end up going into the center, right, of the quote unquote the center of the planet.
mhm,
And it's so different, and rendered so differently. And one of the things, I listened to one of the podcasts that was talking to Don and Kui, talking about the fact they like challenged the animators to pick colors that weren't in the main world. So like pick colors, like let's remove like common things like faces, right? Like just something that makes it unique and different. And
Mm-hmm.
there that's the thing about this film is you distinctly know where you are in the world based on the surroundings. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is one of the beauties of animation is like you can animate this world to be as varied and different from the other world we've been exposed to. And even
Right.
that's not Earth, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think both worlds are realized really well, and
yeah,
they're very different. And I think it's really cool. And um, like the inhabitants, and even just like the the quote unquote flora and fauna that we meet in the like kind of interior world, part of them to me are like right out of like a Dali painting.
yeah,
And it's just, yeah, it's just very cool. Like there's definitely like, like, not to spoil, I don't want to like spoil the entire movie, I guess, but there's a very biological aspect to everything, and it's very cool.
this is a
there's a
movie
th-
that's going to have a lot of legs on Disney
there's also
Plus.
a three-legged dog in the damn movie, and how awesome is
I mean, the
that?
three-legged dog rules. He's so cute, and also
Yeah.
like there's no explanation, which is even better. Like
Hmm.
it's just their dog. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I expect that this is a film that's going to get a lot of play in a lot of households
Yeah.
around the holidays because I expect this is going to land on Disney Plus probably around the week of Christmas, and boy, is it going to show up on a lot of new televisions, right? Like,
Yeah, but I
I
also think, yeah, but the great thing about it is like I think it's going to be played year round, and
mhm,
I think that this will go down as like one of those movies that's a lot like a lot of people talk about like Atlantis the same way. Like
mhm,
Atlantis, the art direction was by Mike Mignola, who created Hellboy, and it's very obvious, and it's a very cool story, and it's very different, and it's very it's Disney trying something, and they dared to do something in that. Same with like Treasure Planet, where it's like the first time that they literally had like a character or many characters that were like legit half hand drawn animation and CGI at the same time.
yeah.
Um, so I think that this movie will live within those movies where it's like it's gonna have a huge following. It's just unfortunate that like marketing and distribution are majorly effing with this movie, you know?
Yeah, a couple of other quick shout outs is like Gabrielle Union as Meridian Clade, who plays Searcher's wife and
Yeah.
Ethan's mother. She's
Very
fantastic. The way the
and
character's
also
drawn, the way that she's like bringing life into that character, it's unbelievable. But you also get Lucy Liu like destroying it in this movie.
mhm,
Like that character is so powerful and so strong, and like the antithesis of what Lucy Liu is like in person. Like her physicality is larger, and like she's her internal ferocity as Lucy Liu the actress comes across in this character's physicality. Like it's really astounding.
yeah.
All the voice acting in this is really really good.
Yeah. And also, kudos kudos to having um a biracial character, clearly a Ethan Clade is the son of a white dad and a black mom,
Yep.
and it's just awesome.
Yeah.
There's so much progressive, sophisticated stuff going on in this movie, and I don't think the trailers did it justice.
Yeah, it's funny because I saw the trailer so many times because this has been one of those trailers that's been around, I think, for probably about 4 or 5 months before the movie came out, and
Mhm.
the trailer is just so it does not at all live into the warmth and smartness that the film brings to the table. Like the
Yeah,
script is very the it's trying to play up the pulpy nature, but none of the heart is in the trailer. And I feel like
yeah.
that stinks because it didn't. I feel like the trailer didn't help the movie. It didn't
I
help get people in the door.
I I have one critique of the movie.
Okay.
Um, me, I think also like something that might have not totally helped the movie is character facial designs. To be honest, I think this is a very like I keep saying, it's a very sophisticated movie. It's a very sophisticated movie. I think that they amped up like the roundness and like cartooniness of like the faces of everybody. Like if you look at
Mhm.
Raya, look at Frozen, or you look at some of the other movies,
Yeah.
that not recently. Like they definitely changed the aesthetic of like what a Disney character in this
Yeah. A
CGI
little inspired by
world.
like Rankin Bass meets
Yeah.
Disney. Yeah.
Well, I'm honestly just wondering like if that affected it. Like it affected like it made it a little less enticing because it might have been too cartoony for some kids or adults or people or whatever. Um,
Yeah, it's
like I
definitely hyper realized humanity
mm,
and not like more towards like human like normal
right.
like day-to-day humanity.
Like
I
I,
loved it because it felt like it was heightening that sort of pulpy nature. It
sure,
felt
sure,
that's what it felt like to me, but
yeah.
I could see how it could have harmed it in its marketing.
I'm just curious, like how like they like on Instagram people will redesign characters under different like lenses. Like everyone will do like
Mhm.
the Simpsons character, the anime character, the
Yep.
Dragon Ball, blah 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 blah. Like I would just be curious to see what these characters would look like under the lens of like had it been a little bit more of a bit of a Frozen or a Raya aesthetic,
Hmm.
proportionately. Um, but again, I'm not an artist. I don't know how people do this. I don't know the whole process of design and stuff. So
Right.
like, um, but
I think
otherwise,
the big
the
takeaway
movie's
for me is
one
like
idea.
I really like this movie a lot. Like,
Mhm.
it's a film that I went and saw, and I texted John and said like I really liked it. We should talk about it. Like, I don't think it's getting enough love. I feel like a bunch of podcasts have either been team this movie or team punch this movie, and I
Right.
really just wanted to come to the table and say like this movie's fun. And
Yeah.
it's got a lot going for it, and everybody should watch it. And it's going to be on Disney Plus soon, is my guess. I have a feeling we're going to see it land within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and hopefully it really gets the audience it should have gotten once it makes it to your television.
Also, there are no toys for this movie. I don't understand how there are no toys for
Why
this
is there no
movie.
splat?
I mean, there might be like a splat, but to me, like I frequent the the toy aisles of Walmarts and Targets very often for action figures. I can't. I have to just push all the Lightyear toys aside because I'm like trying to get to other things. Lightyear has so many toys
Yeah,
still coming out, and I'm very confused by that. But I haven't. There are multiple vehicles that are so cool in this movie.
yeah,
There are multiple characters that should have action figures. Yeah, Splat and some of the other kind of creatures could totally be like plushy-ish type characters.
yep,
Why is there not a three-legged dog? Why isn't Legend a plushie? If
yeah.
he is, I want one. Um, yeah, I just feel like I wish there was more support
Yeah.
that I'm not seeing for this movie.
Right. And it's you're a person who would notice that, right? Like
Mhm.
that's the thing that it comes down to. Whether or not there is more support for it happening, it is not on your radar, and you're a person who goes and frequents the aisles looking for
Yeah,
this
or
kind of
like,
stuff.
why isn't there like a collector's movie cup at AMC for this movie?
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Yeah,
know.
this is a movie that, I will hope there's going to be a really beautiful like steel book of it looking like it's from the 40s, right? Like
Mhm.
maybe with a map, right? Like there should be a whole bunch of stuff for a collector's edition of this movie
Or
because its aesthetic is
release.
beautiful,
So
you
they
know.
play a board game in this movie that's kind of very like Settlers of Catan
It
looking,
is, yeah.
but there's a full rule book for it and everything. So like release the whole game, you
Yeah,
know?
totally.
Maybe this is gonna go in a Disney park, hopefully.
Let's jump over to our final review today. Let's talk about Glass Onion, the a Knives Out story. So I'm excited that this movie made its 1 week debut in Normie Cinema because I saw this movie at Middleburg, and
Yeah.
I have been sitting on this film for a long time. I went and saw it again this week so I could talk about it, but also just because I wanted to revisit this cast and this crazy movie. It
Ryan
is a
John
blast.
Yeah, so this is written and directed by Ryan Johnson, who also directed and wrote Knives Out, which was a huge hit. Was it last year?
2019.
That's okay. That's what I thought. Which was a huge hit, and it starred Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc as
It's true.
as a private detective.
Yep.
So and that's kind
As
of
a
the beauty,
world-renowned,
right?
well-known
Yeah.
detective.
And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of creating a character like him is you can have these multiple stories in different settings with tons of characters. Um, And so this came out in theaters for a week, although Ryan Johnson is pushing to have Netflix re-release it for a wider release, but it will be on Netflix later on. So hopefully I think you can already put it on like your pull list or your list on Netflix. So everyone
It
should do
will
that.
it will drop on Netflix on December 23rd.
There you go. But this one, like I said, also stars Daniel Craig, but also we have Edward Norton, we have Dave Bautista, we have Kate Hudson, we have Janelle Monáe, we have Catherine Hahn, we have Leslie Odom Jr., we have Jessica Henwick, Madeline Klein. Mostly that's like the main cast.
Not Madeline Klein. Sorry. The last character you mentioned
She plays.
is Catherine Hahn.
No, I already said
Jessica
Catherine Hahn.
Henwick. Sorry, you're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
Um, So yeah, that's like the main character. So what we have here is we have Edward Norton, who's kind of this like billionaire, who brings all his friends together onto his island, which has a giant dome on it called the Glass Onion, where he kind of oversees everything. And it's a weekend murder mystery whodunit kind of thing, and he does this very often. And Benoit Blanc mysteriously is invited as well, and uh, murders ensue, and who done it? It's really great. This was the thing that I heard about this, which is kind of funny, was that Ryan Johnson kind of based this on the musical "Merrily We Roll Along," which is by Stephen Sondheim, which is like um, it's about like a group of friends. It's the same situation where it's like a guy gets rich and he has a group of friends and but they sing and these people kill each other. Funny thing is, the beginning of the movie, this movie is a commentary on time as well. Like it takes place very much during the pandemic.
Yep.
People wear masks. They talk about, is it okay? Like there are comments about like, is it safe to hug? Is it, this? But there's also times when people are in quarantine. And in the beginning, Benoit Blanc is like in quarantine,
Yep.
bored out of his mind, and he's
Spending a lot
playing.
of time in his tub.
Yeah, and he's playing a game with Angela Lansbury, Stephen Sondheim, Natasha Lyonne, and someone else, I forget who, but I think it's hilarious. And I was like, why the F is Stephen Sondheim in this movie? Rest in peace.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, right, yeah, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I was like, what the hell is happening here? Why does Benoit Blanc know all these people? But I think that was a very funny homage to the fact that it was inspired by Merrily We Roll Along.
Well, also, I think it's a really amazing, like, last minute, like, component of this film because it's an homage to Sondheim and it's the last thing Sondheim did. And it's the last thing Angela Lansbury did. So these people who very much influenced
Someone
this,
call Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
yeah, someone check on him. And Natasha Lyonne, she's she
fine.
needs to be protected. Come on,
She's fine. Even smokes like a billion packs a day.
I think what I love about this film is so you brought together this amazing cast again. It's a unique cast. I think Miles Braun, played by Edward Norton, is fantastic. It's maybe the most fun I've had with Edward Norton playing a character in a long time. Everybody feels so perfectly cast. Dave Bautista playing Duke Cody, playing sort of a podcaster, like at one point
He's
I
like
think
he's
he
a
gets
male chauvinist. he's
Like
like
gets in
a
trouble for selling like rhino horn dick pills to kids.
yeah.
Like he's unbelievable in this film. He's so he has like a level of like comedic timing and dumbness that all lands like unbelievably perfectly.
Mhm.
And then Kate Hudson as Bertie J. Like uh, I heard a an interview with Ryan Johnson, and he said that Kate Hudson came to set and said like, I think I figured out my character. And he's like, all right, great. And she's like, I'm pretty sure she understands every third word said to her.
Mhm.
And if you go back and watch the film with that in mind, you watch like things dawning on her as a character. And
Mhm.
Ryan Johnson was just like, perfect. This is go. Like, and you see it. There are so many moments in the film where Bertie J is just not picking up exactly what's going on and then comes to a realization seconds later, and it's so funny that that was her, like her figuring her character out before the movie even started. Was like
Mhm.
after she read the script she was like, I get it, Bertie J, she gets about every third word, like. And that was like it's so funny to see these characters inhabit these actors inhabit these characters, and all of them bring a little bit of who they are and their own flair to the characters that they're playing. Like, you
Mhm.
know, Daniel Craig looks like he's having so much fun as Benoit Blanc. He looked so
Oh yeah.
uncomfortable as James Bond for so long, but he just looks like he's enjoying himself. Like he looks comfortable, he looks at ease. Like there's something really beautiful about this film and about how it was shot, and they feel like a weird group of friends that you're getting to peek in on, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it definitely feels like everyone's having a really great time in
Except
this
Janelle
movie.
Monáe, but that's fine.
But she kills it, man. She's
She's
incredible in this movie.
unbelievable in this movie.
She's always great at what she does, but like, um, but she's fantastic in this, and I would want to see more of. Well, yeah, I don't want to spoil too much because
Yeah. I think
my
the only person there's one character that I don't think that's enough time, and that's Lionel. So Leslie Odom Jr.'s character, I don't feel like gets enough of Leslie Odom Jr. He's
mm,
such a he's such a character and a big personality as an actor that he's playing it so subdued because of the character he's playing that I wish we got a little more of Leslie Odom Jr. But he's also playing a specific character type that I think was required for this type of film in order for Miles Braun to be Miles Braun, right? Like,
yeah,
so it's a little bit of a balancing act. Like, if you don't have him play that character, who gets to be that role? You know, like, so I'm just glad Leslie Odom Jr. is in this film, but I wish we got a little more of him as an actor because I wish he had like almost lost it a little bit more. There's a few scenes near the end where you get to see a little bit of Leslie Odom Jr. coming out, and I wish
mm.
we got like another 5 minutes of that, you know?
This is the second murder mystery that he's in because he was also in Murder on the Orient Express, so he's got a thing for
Oh.
murdering and mysterying. But yeah, it's a great movie. If you've seen Knives Out, if you see, I think the thing that's really cool is like Knives Out, like could have set the tone
Yeah.
for like movies to proceed, and you could have just kind of like recycled that a bunch. But like this literally is like, yes, it's like it's a who done it, but like the 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 setting is completely different. All the people are very different. It's like it's not the same movie as Knives Out.
Yeah.
Um, but it's very believable that it's in the same world.
Well, and there's
Um,
also like really cute things that ended up happening because they were together for so long. So I don't know if you picked up on this, but when the hourly dong happens, so it's called the hourly dong because Edward Norton and his character called it that by accident. It was supposed to be the hourly gong, and he
mhm,
misspoke and called it the hourly dong. So Ryan Johnson was just like, "It's the hourly dong from here on out," and
that's
like
awesome.
changed the script on the fly because he was like, "It's even better if Miles would call it the hourly dong," right?
Right.
Like, and just little things like that, like the ability to like be in the moment and pivot the script while this film is being shot because he wrote and directed it. Also, because they were together for so long, like they shot this film like basically in a COVID bubble, right? Like they shot it
Mhm,
partially in Greece and then partially in Eastern Europe, where
mhm,
they built a lot of the internal sets. But he talked on one of the interviews I was listening to, and he talked about the fact that Janelle, the place that they were shooting was a COVID bubble inside this hotel in Eastern Europe, and they would take over the entire restaurant on the roof of the building, and they would play like werewolves or other games at night, and Janelle Monáe would show up in character, like in full costumes, and he's like, I don't know if she had a steamer trunk with like 100 but like she never came in the same costume, and she had a full backstory every time she showed up. And he's like, I guess you're Lady like Birdington. I don't know, like, but like it was so funny. They created this little world where they got to know one another on top of it, and the stories that came out of it are all just like super positive. Like every aspect of this feels like they made a film that would have been different if it wasn't in COVID times. And a little bit of the COVID timesness of this is actually not present in the film, but is exhibited by what came out of the film because they acknowledge COVID at the beginning of the film, but it's not like a big component of what's going on.
No, it's not. And I think that's kind of the cool thing where I think masks were just like, they're not talked about too much.
Yeah.
They're just worn apart. But I also think there's like a lot like, this was one of those movies where like I feel like there were a lot of inside jokes that that the audience benefits because it's like a funny thing. But I'm very curious as to like where these jokes originated. Like, for example, like they all talk about like Jared Leto has a hard kombucha that everyone drinks.
Jeremy Renner's hot sauce.
Renner has a hot sauce. All of a sudden, Serena Williams, you think it's just a poster in the gym of Serena Williams, and then all of a sudden she starts moving. It's like, guys, do you want to train today or what?
Yeah.
Like she has a little
and people have been talking in front of her, like
about like murders and stuff.
Yeah.
She doesn't give a crap. I think it's just a super fun movie. It's a very escapist movie. It's like it does not live in the same reality as we do. It's not like super, based in this world. It's like a heightened world that we all live in, or they live in. Yeah, and I thought it was great.
So just a couple of quick shout outs. Madeline Klein, who plays Whiskey, who is Duke's girlfriend, is great. Like, she's so fun, like, and isn't played for laughs. I think like he treats her kind of not great, and you see how smart she is, and you get a chance to see who she is when she's on her own. And I think that's pretty awesome. But I think the best part of that is like Batista, the character who plays his mom, who is Jackie Hoffman, is unbelievable. And you see just who
she's the smartest person in the movie.
Yeah, like, she is.
She literally like so.
There's a box that gets delivered that you have to. So, it's a puzzle box.
Yeah, and that's how it all starts. Is every one of his friend, every one of Edward Norton's friends is delivered a puzzle box, and there's all these little puzzles on it, and they all are on the phone, and they're trying to solve it together. And Jackie Hoffman just like nails all the
well, the funniest is they get through the first phase, and then they get to the second phase, and she's just sitting in the corner of the room, and Duke is on the speakerphone. Yeah, and she literally just goes, the second one is a Fibonacci sequence. And like, she's not even really looking at the box. And like, there's a scientist on the other end of the call who didn't figure it out, right? Like, there's so many moments in those like opening. It's so much of it is played for laughs. Like how they open the box to get to the final isn't important. They have fun. Like the script has fun with opening the box, and they let all these actors really play with one another in a really fun way, and they bring us in. Right? Like none of the main characters are the ones that are clever about this. It's everyone else, like the way that Janelle Monáe's character opens the box is amazing and perfect. Right. Like, and perfectly well done, and is so much different than everyone else. And I love this movie. I think, I've heard a lot of people saying like there's a back and forth of like, I like the first Knives Out better. I like this film better. They're two different movies. Whether or not they just happen to have Benoit Blanc as a character that connects the tissue, they are very different types of films. And I think I can't wait for more of these films. I'm so excited to see the third in the Knives Out stories.
Oh, also, so Glass Onion also is the name of a bar that they all used to when they were like all young and like unsuccessful. that's the bar that they would meet at. And I
And it's
thought
like a deep cut Beatles track. And it was funny when Ryan Johnson was asked about it because he uses the song at the end of the film. He's like, so the next film is going to be named after a public domain song, so it doesn't cost us so much damn money. Like he literally came up with this idea, and he was like glass something, and he typed into his phone, according to his interview, that he typed glass into songs, and the first song that came up was Glass Onion, and he was like, perfect. And then he was just like, we have to pay for this now. Like,
yeah. And did you clock though? I wonder if, so Edward Norton is like he's like the newest one to the group. But did you clock that every time that they did a flashback, Edward Norton was dressed as Tom Cruise from Magnolia?
yes, he was.
Was that on purpose, right? I'm not crazy.
No.
Right?
So this is the only spoiler thing I'll say is Ryan Johnson said that Miles Braun has never had a individual thought in his life. So he like always is trying to pick up on. So he later dresses as Steve Jobs. At the beginning of the movie, he's dressed like Tom Cruise from Magnolia.
Yeah.
He's always trying to be the coolest guy in the room, but he doesn't have an instinct for what the coolest guy is. And he's trying to play a role, is what it feels like.
Cool. Yeah.
But yes, he's perfect as like a Tom Cruise lookalike, all the way down to the hair, the leather vest. Like it's so funny when you see it, especially if you've seen Magnolia and it's familiar to you. Like I'm glad you picked up on it because it's one of those things I was just like, oh, like it's just so silly.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. I was like, that's definitely not a coincidence. So
no. Well, and the whole thing, right? Like the whole idea is that there's he brought them all there to have a murder mystery weekend, and he says like we're going to spend this entire weekend figuring this out, and then Benoit Blanc basically blows it in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, don't give too much away.
No, but it's so funny. Like that is the premise of the like. Of course, the smartest detective would be like, yeah, like it's perfect. Like the movie, the way it unfolds is really fun.
How fast he solves it, but it is very effective. Yeah, it's great. I really enjoyed it.
This will also be on your home theater and television in December. December 23rd. My assumption is we'll see both of these films again very shortly. I will definitely be showing this film to anybody who will watch it. I think it is probably in my top 10 films of the year. I think RRR and this have both found their way into the top 10 for me. I'm really excited to see what Rain does next.
Yeah, I think as far as this goes, if I'm like put in a corner and like they're like choose between Knives Out or
Nobody
Glass,
puts John in the corner.
Like, everyone puts John in the corner. But if I did have to choose, and I'm trying to think about Knives Out, I did think I enjoyed this a little more. Knives Out is like about a family unit, and this is about like a biological family unit, and this is like a chosen family unit.
Yep.
They're both family units. But
I think the other thing is the characters are bigger caricatures in this film than even the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Evans rules in that first movie. He's so funny as the smarmy asshole. And this movie has like a lot of people who have similar turns and ability to play. Like I think Cheyenne steals every scene she's a part of, right? Like I think Dave Bautista steals every scene he's in. Like
I was so impressed with Dave Bautista's career. I was just thinking about this the other day because he's a professional wrestler, much like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was.
Yep.
And I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, yes, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is he is a corporation onto himself, and he's probably one of the wealthiest men in the world right now. But Dave Bautista's resume and who he's worked with is far more impressive.
Yep. I'm excited to see what he continues to do. Like
this M. Night Shyamalan movie he's in, I'm like, what's going on here?
Oh my God. That movie, I've seen that. So we're done with our main reviews. We're going to take 2 seconds to talk about some trailers. The knock on the cabin in the woods trailer that you're talking about. I love the trailer. I love the characters. We've got the guy from the movie that's about to hit theaters. The love story. God, spoilers
Ahead or
ahead.
something.
Yep. So he's in it as one of the two fathers, and Jeffrey Groh is the other father. And they have a little daughter, and then that trailer is so well done, and you've got so many good actors in like the 7 characters we've been introduced to.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. But like the whole thing is being narrated by Batista, right?
Right.
Dave
But I'm
Batista
so
is the
nervous.
main character.
I'm so nervous that it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh my god, come on, man!
I'm very nervous because he has burned us before. I like some of
I
his
may have
movies.
said out loud in the theater, like, "Don't fuck this up," because like I want this movie to be good. Like
Yeah.
I want it to be good. I think what the trailer is showing us that's interesting is they are told that they have to make a decision, and
Yes.
then the basement door that has a padlock on it is slammed open in the trailer. I think what is happening has to do with the basement. I am really hopeful that it doesn't have to do with the family and that they have to be a part of it. But we'll see.
Sure. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, David Batista like comes. He's got glasses and this like little like super tight like short sleeve button down shirt, and he's like, "I'm really sad. What I have to do? I have to be like you guys." And he like they kidnap this like same sex family unit with a little adopted girl, and they're like, one of you have to decide who you're going to kill or something. I don't know. It looks really intense. Anyway,
Are you excited about Transformers: Rise of the Beast?
Oh fucking yeah, dude! I was such a huge fan of. Dude, I was such a huge fan of Transformers Beast Wars growing up. Like that animated show was the second fully CGI cartoon ever. It was ahead of its time. It's awesome. They've got Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal, who AKA is a giant transforming gorilla. I love me some gorillas. Yeah, and they're learning from Bumblebee, and the character designs and simpler stories of Bumblebee is the direction they should be going. So I'm very excited about that. We got a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 trailer. That looks very intense. Looks a little sad.
I'm very sad because I think we're going to get an origin story for Rocket, and I'm calling it now. I think that Drax is the one who dies that they're all sad about because Dave Batista has said he's done with Marvel, but also he doesn't want to stay in the shape to be shirtless and in that makeup. So I think we're seeing the end of Drax as a character, which sucks because he's one of my favorite anti-heroes in the Marvel universe. And I don't think that we got a chance to spend enough time with his origin. Like it's been alluded to, but I wish that there was a time that they would have made the Drax origin story movie where it was all him with his wife and his daughter, and that's the movie I want. Like I think it would have been an amazing turn. What's that?
His cousin that was killed by a GoBot.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we need that now because that's part of the universe. One last one. Indiana Jones 5. Are you excited?
I don't know yet.
The de-aging looks good. I'm surprised.
I don't like the title.
I mean, the title doesn't matter in the end. I know it's important for the advertising.
But also, like after Last Crusade, you're like, all right, I'm done. Like as far as titles go, like Chris. Well, no, and then what is this one? The something of Destiny.
The Pick of Destiny. The Pick of Destiny. Yes, it's Tenacious D, and it's the Indiana Jones Tenacious D movie. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what Phoebe Waller-Bridge brings to the table. I think she's amazing.
I think she's going to star in the. I think she's going to actually be the star of the Indiana Jones Disney Plus show that they're working on.
I hope so. I'm glad to see more of her, no matter where it is. She's unbelievable.
Yeah. So yeah, we had some great movies to talk about this week, and we also got some great trailers. So yeah, good times.
R. That movie was crazy.
Rise.
I had so much fun.
Rise, roar, and revolt. Is that the order? You have to rise, and you roar. And
I don't know. Are you water or are you fire? Which one are you? Because like. I think it's got to be you and I now. I think I'm Beam. I think you might be Ram.
What is that? Which one is who's who?
You're the handsome George Clooney looking mofo, and I'm the Barry dude with a beard.
So are you water or am I fire?
I'm water. You are fire.
but Hulk like fire, like big fire. Thor like all fire, but Hulk like big fire.
We've officially hit the end of this podcast. It's been super fun, folks. Hopefully next week we're trying to figure out what we're going to be reviewing next week. We're going
big one
back
is
and forth.
episode 20. It's a milestone.
Yeah, episode 20. It could be that we finally catch up on all the television that is going on, because that's how we started, right? The first episode was so much TV. I think if I could double down and really get through it, but I think there's a possibility of at least one major film like Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. We'll see what ends up happening, but thank you so much for hanging with us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week on episode number 20.
Thanks, guys.
GeekOnFilm.com. See you next week. This has been a Geek on Film podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.